It seems to me that the rate of change is accelerating. What do you think the time frame is, if ever, that we wind up watching pretty much a majority of our television via the internet?
Yeah, I think that it will be a slow path. Considering that people watch an average of 7 hours of TV per day, you're starting to see trends where over the top video. It's definitely a behavior that exists, but it's far from mainstream. But I think when you look out 5 or 10 years from now, with the rise of video hubs, the Netflixes, the different Google TV, YouTube, Apple TV. That now that the content's out there, people are going to go and they're going to find it, and then everything that's being done with TV everywhere. I think we're at the start of a trend that's going to probably take a couple years to materialize, but I expect it to accelerate dramatically.
So, how do you think this will impact media measurement?
Well, I think the most interesting part is that for the first time we'll be able to know who sees advertisements or who's watching what program. I think the harder part is to be able to get demographics on all of that information. The TV world was built by the cable companies to really do three things. It was, of course, to provide people with television. Then, after they upgraded all of their systems in the past decade, that enabled you to get, of course, broadband internet service, and then broadband telephony. So I think given that and all of the investments that are made, I don't know if they're ready to put new boxes into people's homes that are really built for measurement. So I think also, I think these changes are huge. We're a country where television, I would say, is one of our favorite pastimes, and then with technology, we just love to interact with different things. So I think that these changes will happen over the next over the next decade. They'll get mainstream, and then the measurement will follow.
Generational change. So, it may take another decade for all of this to come into fruition, but won't it be pushed by the younger generation? I was just at the post office, and for the first time I saw, gosh, 30% of all the P.O. boxes are available to rent, which means people are using email and other forms to pay bills and all of that. How do you think generational change will impact the time frame for all of this? I think it will speed it up, but I'm interested in your perspective.
Yeah, I'd agree. It will definitely speed it up. And when from different research I've done, I feel like historically we've looked at it through the lens of baby boomers, Gen X, and Gen Y, and I would say that that's too broad because technology changes really, probably big technological changes every 3 years. So I focus on when people graduate from college. If you graduated from college last year, you probably would have spent most of your college years. You might have had an iPod. You might have had an iPhone or other really mobile technology where you can do a lot. But if you graduated college 4 years ago, you wouldn't have had that. And that's the same thing. Every 3, 4 years ago, it's kind of like we usher in a new technological generation. So you have all of these generations now, who are younger, both Gen X, Gen Y, and and other people as well who've really grown up with all of this technology. If you ask a 16-year-old whether they think a smartphone is cool, they say no, it's not cool. They consider it like when you go to a restaurant and bread shows up, it's just always been there to them. So there's nothing that special about it.
And it's not just who graduates from college at what year. You have young children. I'm sure their use of media is very different from your use of media when you were their age.
Absolutely. I'm amazed how they just can kind of take a remote control and figure out their way and start pressing buttons, and you think they're going to do something incorrectly. I'm talking about a 6-year-old, and they'll actually press the right buttons. They know how to work the interactive programming guide. They know how to find programs on demand. It's really a different world that they've grown up with, because where we used to be happy that a program was even on, I think now it's not about what programs are on. They know what's actually what's in the library for on demand, and then which show is their favorite and which one they want to watch. So it's definitely a different world where I think they have a lot of choice, and that will affect them for a long time to come because they can choose what they want to do, and of course also kind of exit out, choose not what they don't want to watch.
So, if you could look 5 years down the road in your part of the business, what would you expect the landscape to look like?
Sure. Well, I think that it's going to. I think at that point, the interactive television will have, it will have gotten probably to about where smartphones are today. Where I think the key is that we've seen it. I mean, how many years have universal remotes been out there for? And yet, there's nothing people probably find more frustrating than trying to program a remote control. So I think I think whether it be Comcast or Apple, someone's going to get involved in that space and make it so that a remote control can really make the TV experience interactive versus something that's you have to be really technically savvy to do. And then I'd say the other thing is mobile. I think the big change is going to be is right now where you get mobile through your through your phone carrier or through Wi-Fi. That across the country there's going to be innovations in the mobile world where here we are in the West Village where there'll be technology where you can just kind of walk the streets and you'll have wireless access. You won't have to log on to someone's you won't have to log on to someone's Wi-Fi router or necessarily even pay a premium for it. I just saw it was an interesting Microsoft. I just saw one of the trade publications. They're developing technology along those lines where they could currently I believe it's a spectrum that the government's made available, and just about everyone on the Microsoft campus in Washington is able to access the internet through this new technology. So if everyone could do it on the Microsoft campus in Washington, you can imagine how many people would be able to benefit from that, say in New York City.